Happy day, fellow baseball whale lifers. How are we all doing? Yes, it is hump day, and we have 15 days. The day we've all been waiting for, opening day. Yes, as I like to say, 15 Carlos Beltrans till opening day. And until then, we will continue doing our 30 and 30, our 30 teams and 30 days previews. And today we salute and look at the projections for the Cleveland in 2021. I promise you, this will be the last year I do a Cleveland Indians preview. Why? Next year they will not be the Cleveland Indians. We shall see what they will be. I kind of like the Cleveland Baseball Club. How about you? I kind of liked it when the Redskins did that in football. I thought it was pretty catchy. And just having the big C with a baseball in the background is enough for me. But we shall see. The other name I would like, the Rock and Rollers, because Cleveland is the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And personal note, I love rock and roll, just like Joan Jett, and would like to see the Indians be the Rock and Rollers instead of, if they can't be the Cleveland Baseball Club, if they have to stick a name to it. The logo would be a guitar. Let's see, guitar shaped like a baseball bat. There you go. The merchandising could be limitless. But we shall see what will happen. But going into this year, which is why we're here, it's going to be a year of change for the Indians. They're not going to have two of their stellar players. Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco will now reside in Flushing by the Bay in New York. And in return, they got Ahmad Rosario and Andres Jimenez. And I know that's a lot to give up. You just don't give up Lindor, and the Mets better sign him. But I saw a lot of Jimenez last year, and this kid can play shortstop. He can pick it with the best of them. Can he bat and provide all the other offensive flair that Lindor does? Probably not. And Ahmad Rosario, he has to get his head together, but there was a good stretch last year where he was solid with the bat. And as long as he focuses on making contact and just doesn't get lazy at the plate, he's a good man. Same thing with the defense in the infield. He just needs to be focused. He makes less errors. And he also can play the outfield, so I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he's all over the place. Sort of like Alfonso Soriano, if you remember him, that type of player. So it'll be interesting to see what those two do this year. And the Indians are pretty stacked with good young players. Framil Reyes is going to be one hell of a slugger, let me tell you. If you want to watch home run balls this year, watch the Indians. You're going to see a lot of power, which is going to make that lineup exciting. And in that vision, that could be enough to keep them in the contention for the remainder of the year once opening day comes around, because the White Sox and Twins are good. Don't get me wrong. They're a top 10 team. But if the Indians put it together, they can give them a run for their money despite everything that's happening with Cleveland, all the losses they've had in personnel over the years. They're still a very, very, very good team. And Rays, Bowers, and Network are going to be guys they're going to look forward to. And I think all these countries for Indians going forward. The pitching staff, well, we know we had one of the best last year in Justin Bieber. He was phenomenal last year. And a good thing for you Tribe fans is he's under control for the next 4 years. And knowing Cleveland's history with contracts, they probably won't extend him or up his contract a little bit, which is unfortunate because they're cutting costs left and right and just trying to stay a mid-market club. And that could lead to some anxiety for Bieber, but we shall see how that prevails. It would be nice if they could, financially reward him for his performance last year with a nice fatter contract. But again, it's not my money, and we shall see what will happen there. But yes, gone are the days of Kluber, Bauer, Carrasco, and Clevenger. That was quite a staff. If you could have that staff back again, you'd say that could be one of the best four-man rotations in baseball, without a doubt. And they had Zach Plesac coming on last year. So if you had those five guys in rotation, that'd be fantastic. Now, Plesac is going to move up the ladder. He's probably going to be the number 2 man. And they do have 2 good young pitchers who they have high hopes for, Tristan McKenzie and Aaron Savali. McKenzie I do like. I think he's going to be a solid number 3 man. So given the opportunity, if healthy, the staff isn't that bad. A lot of people are saying the Indians are under a rebuild. I mean, it's a rebuild, but there's a talent base there. Like, it's the only thing that hinders them is committing to these players long term because of financial reasons. But they're going to be a very competitive team this year, and I think they will be over 500 and give it a chase for both the division title. Like I said, division title in the Central may not be that unreachable for them, and they'll have a shot at the wild card. So there's hope in Cleveland this year. Speaking of titles, they were established as a franchise in 1901. Yes, they're one of the longest-running franchises in baseball. The team has won 10 division titles, 6 American League pennants, and 2 World Championships in 1920 and 1948. A lot of history with the Indians, a lot of great players. I could talk all day about all the players, but they've had some lean years. The unfortunate things, they've had some bad luck where they just couldn't bring home the bacon with these World Series. But they've given their fans some thrills over the years. And the World Championship drought they're currently under started in 1948 and is unfortunately longest among all 30 major league teams. So Cleveland fans have a long time, and I think when they do win it, it's going to be so rewarding for the Cleveland faithful. Probably the most famous pitcher of his era was Bob Feller. I mean, he was the Nolan Ryan of his time, the Jacob deGrom. He could throw the ball hard. And one of the hardest pitchers in the early 30s and 40s. He came up as a 17-year-old phenom, and he was the big name for as far as hurlers were concerned. And as he came up, he led the American League in strikeouts from 1938 to 1941. And then Bill Veeck, he led an investment group which purchased the Indians, and he had among the investors Hank Greenberg, Bob Hope, and he was smart. He realized that the Indians, there was a lot of potential there for the Indians. And not only that, he had Zion Municipal Stadium. He wanted to move into a big, big stadium to take advantage of the team's popularity if they were going to be winners. So we have to call it the mistake by the lake. Used to pack them in when Cleveland was very good. At first, it wasn't a big hit because the Indians still weren't drawing well. So they split time with a smaller ballpark in Cleveland and Municipal. But during its heyday, Municipal Stadium could hold quite a lot of people, like 70,000, 80,000, I believe. And that was the Indians' home. But unfortunately, when they went in a tailspin, which I get to later, it was basically empty. It'd be like 3,000 people a game there. And in the 50s, the Indians were, I mean, it was the Yankees, without a doubt, but the Indians were one of the top teams in baseball. And 1954, who will ever forget when they had they had the best winning percentage ever for a regular season team in 1954 when they won 111 games and lost only 4-3. Now, we all know what happened in the World Series. Willie Mays, Vic Wertz catch the famous 54 World Series, and the Giants kind of subdued them. I mean, it was lead up to what they did in the regular season come World Series time. Unfortunate. But the Indians had a lot of teams in the 50s, were always competitive. But then when the 60s came, kind of went downhill from there. A lot of people say that was the curse of Rocky Colavito because before the decade started, Rocky was very, very popular with the Indian faithful for Harvey Keene, and the team was just never the same after that. If you believe in jinxes, I think it just coincides with the trade that was made at the time. I don't think it was a curse, but it's become folklore in Cleveland where it's the curse of Rocky Colavito. They did manage 1 third place finish in 68. The Tribe did 6 fourth place finishes, 60, 74, 76, 90, and 92. Now we're talking about a 34-year period from 60 to 93. But the rest of the years, they were more or less at the bottom or very near the bottom. So with some lean years in Cleveland. The good thing was you got to see the teams come into Cleveland and see them play. But the Indians weren't much fun to watch, that's for sure. Like I said, a lot of people blame that on the old Rocky Colavito trade. Got to blame something. But Rocky was a favorite there, and Never the same after he left. In the 70s, they just had bad front office moves. Some of the players they traded, and believe me, what they got back in return was nothing near what they gave up, including Greg Nettles, Dennis Eckersley, Buddy Bell, and Chris Chambliss, who went on to have respectable long-term careers with the teams that they ended up with. So Cleveland never really recalled the bad deals they made in the 70s. But then, 1995, that's when Cleveland put it all together. The season was shortened by 18 games due to the player-owner negotiation after that horrible '94 strike, and they won their first division title. And they took Cleveland. I mean, James Field was in play now. It was a beautiful ballpark, with favorite ballparks because the sight lines are so good. And they even the thing is they were packing. There's a little note here that I wrote that they sold out every game in 1996 after the '95 run, where it was around before the season even began. That is amazing. So Cleveland was the place for baseball in the mid '90s, especially '95, '96, '97, and then in '97 they came so close to winning the World Series. They went into the ninth inning of Game 7 with a 2-1 lead, and Jose Mesa allowed the Marlins to tie the game. And then we all remember what happened then. Edgar Renteria drove in the winning run, giving the Marlins their first championship. Cleveland became the first team to lose the World Series after carrying the lead into the ninth inning in Game 7. If it breaks your heart, it's something like that. And that was a tough one to swallow, without a doubt. And then in 2016, it was either the Cubs or the Indians that were going to end their streak of futility. Unfortunately, it was the Cubs, but the Indians were right there knocking on the door. They had a 3-1 series lead, and that was at Wrigley Field. So all they had to do in Wrigley Field, Game 5, or win 2 in Cleveland with a 3-run lead, and they just couldn't do it. The Cubs rallied to win the final 3 games and win the series 4-3. And who Game 7? Oh my God, one of the best games in ever. And Cleveland tied it up and then lost in extra innings. Tough. One of the most memorable games in baseball history. But that's history. And now let's talk about the 2021 Cleveland Indians. The projected starting lineup is going to be Cesar Hernandez at second base, Jose Ramirez at third, Eddie Rosario on left, Franmil Reyes at DH, Josh Taylor in right, Roberto Perez as the catcher, Jake Bauers at first, Andres Jimenez at short, and Oscar Mercado in center field. Now, the 2-3-4 punch of Ramirez, Rosario, and Reyes could be one of the most powerful in the American. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if all three hit 30 home runs. And Cesar Hernandez is in the leadoff spot, and Josh Taylor is going to be hopefully a solid hitter for them. And Roberto Perez, we know how good he can be. And Jake Bauers is going to be giving her some potential. This team can put up some runs and be very, very exciting. Andre, like I said, he could be one of the best defensive shortstops in the game. So we'll see what happens. And come to the bench, you have Ahmad Rosario, like I said, who's so talented. I think he just needs to be harnessed. I don't think it's like a lack of discipline. I just think sometimes he has lazy habits. He's got a big heart. I saw him a lot with, but just sometimes I think he needs the proper coaching, and we'll see if he can get that with Cleveland. And like I said, the starting rotation, if Candy and if and buts were candy nuts, you know that expression. Well, they had Bieber, Bauer, Carrasco. Who's the guy with the Yankees now? Kluber. That was some rotation, but hopefully they're going to pick up the pieces with Shaper. You can't go wrong with the Cy Young Award winner there. And Zach Plesac showed a lot of promise. I know the whole COVID thing, there was a lot of controversy there, but he comes from good breeding, and he can be the number 2 man. And like I said, Tristan McKenzie and Aaron Savali are 2 pitchers they have high hopes for, especially McKenzie. So nice to see those guys come through. And Cal Quantrill can take care of the number 5 guy in the Padres. And hopefully, like I said, get a lot of innings out of him. Innings are going to be a big factor in 2021. So hopefully, guys can provide them. Now, the bullpen, he could be one of the best poses in this guy guy's got serious smoke, and I love Nick Retkin is a set man. Then Emmanuel Chase isn't too bad. Wade Parker, Phil Tone, and Alvarez still alive and kicking. How about that? And Adam Plutko. Now, the good thing is there's hope for the Indians. They're going to be a very, very competitive team, without a doubt. But there's a lot of prospects. Like about 7 players that are considered top 100 prospects in the game today, and you can go right down the line with Nolan Jones at third, George Fuller in the outfield, Tyler Freeman, the shortstop, second base, Brian Rocchio at I guess it's Rocchio or Rocchio, shortstop, third base, and Daniel Espino's got a good arm. They look at him as being a future right-handed starting pitcher. So the future isn't that bad for the Indians. And like I said, this year's not going to be as bad as people may think. I definitely think they're going to be over 500. And once you're over 500, you got a shot at the wild card. And let's face it, they're probably in one of the weakest divisions in baseball, the Central. The Twins and White Sox are good teams, but you never know what can happen during the course of a season. So if the Indians play up to their potential and one of those 2 teams falter, perhaps there's a chance at a wild card and even a chance at a pennant. We shall see. But I'm going to be watching the Indians this year. They're going to be a fun watch for sure. So that's my synopsis. I'm going to predict the third place finish because I think the White Sox are just too loaded, and the Twins have a lineup that's very similar to the Indians and probably better all-around talent. But don't count on them. I'm predicting a third place finish for the Indians, about 83, 84 wins. But they'll be fun to watch. So I hope you like this review. Like I said, I do one feature in the Facebook group every day. That's both available on Facebook and this YouTube channel. So if you are just watching on YouTube, please feel free to join the Facebook group, and vice versa. If you're watching this on the Facebook group but aren't aware of the channel, please subscribe to the channel. It's down at the end of this video, and you'll see everything that I offer. And most days I do more than one broadcast, and when the season kicks in, I'll be yapping a lot. So for better or for worse, I'm here for you. If you like the video, please say like. If you don't, please hit the old dislike, and please don't feel free to leave negative or positive comments. I can handle them. And like I said, feel free to leave comments. And that's it for this recap. Hope you have a great Wednesday. Remember, play ball. And for now, adios.